New Zealand World Cup operations manager Gavin Larsen feels the current team under Brendon McCullum would have defeated the 1992 Black Caps team comfortably. In his playing days, nicknamed the Postman because he always delivered on the cricket pitch, is constantly busy these days to deliver the role he had been entrusted with. According to Larsen, 1992 team was a good one as well, but quite a stark difference was that they really battled in the lead up to the 92 World Cup. On being asked who he reckons to be the four semi-finalists, he maintains the two hosts along with India and South Africa will be the favourites. He still expects to be the same, with the Black Caps needing to make a little bit of tweak. His concerns is with the Black Cap middle order not getting exposed, but the bowling looks absolutely spot on. Australia have always been a good package. An exponent of restrictive bowling from 1990 to 1999, Larsen was a one-day specialist when the concept was at a nascent stage. With an economy rate of 3.76 in 121 ODIs, he was part of Martin Crowe's team that reached the 1992 World Cup semi-final. Harris and Latham were also part of the 1992 team, and together they came to be known as the Dibbly-Dobbly bunch, who despite limitations made sure they were not easy to get away. Although this brand of bowling gradually became popular and bowlers like him became sought after, according to Larsen, the demands of the modern game and mental makeup of batsmen are such that today's bowlers have to develop wicket-taking options instead of specializing in containment. Asked about the difference between Brendon McCullum's attack and that of Crowe in 1992, Larsen said the current bunch follows the order of the day. Larsen was quite impressed about the current Indian team. On being asked what has been the most impressive about the Indians to see this turnout, he commented,
"Talking about this World Cup, almost a month now, how is the cup is shaping up now?"
Oh look, I couldn't be happier the way things have panned out. I'm the cricket operations manager for New Zealand, so my job is about the presentation of the ground, the pitches, the outfields, the training facilities, across the 7 venues in New Zealand, and I also look after the logistical side, so moving the teams around the country and across the Tasman to Australia. So look, as I say, I couldn't be happier. I think our pitches have been really good and we've seen some fantastic cricket so far.
Talking about the new ICC planning that there will be 10 teams in the next World Cup. Do you, agree with this idea, or you have the Minos too should have a chance?
No, I think the associate countries have really stepped up at this tournament. I've been thrilled with the way that they've performed. They've possibly exceeded some expectations, probably not their own expectations, but we've had upsets. I was at Nelson and I watched Ireland beat the West Indies very early in the tournament, and that was a really memorable moment for me. Afghanistan having their first win over Scotland. So there's, I think they've done tremendously well. I think there's a lot of pressure probably going to go on the ICC around the format of the next World Cup, because I think the associates have made a very strong statement at this World Cup.
Talking about one-day cricket batting, especially after T20 cricket, don't you think the batting has changed a lot because of AB, Glenn Maxwell, Brendon? These guys have changed the definition of batting. Do you agree with this?
I certainly wouldn't want to be bowling to them now, that's for sure. Again, it's tremendous, it's exciting, it's positive. I think there have been some very good tweaks made to the playing conditions that have meant that we are seeing more runs being scored. It's a very fine line between getting the balance right between the batsman dominating too much. As an ex-bowler, at times I might think that, it's gone a little bit too far. The fielding restrictions, boundary sizes, maybe particularly here in New Zealand where we've got smaller grounds, the bats, the quality of the pitches, it's all sort of loaded up in favour of the batsman. What's been, I think, particularly exciting to me in this tournament is that we've seen the bowlers who swing the ball doing a very good job and winning games for their teams, and that I think has helped keep the balance between bat and ball.
But don't you think they're a bit unfair to us bowlers? You have been just mentioning two new balls from both the sides and just 4 fielders outside the circle all the time.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, it's tough. But what it means is that teams have to attack, and they have to attack for 50 overs. There's no more containing or attempting just to bowl back of a length and top of off, because the fielding restrictions and the fact that the ball is so hard for so long now, it just simply means that the ball's going to get hit to the boundary. So captains have to innovate. They've got to be a little cleverer in their tactics. They've got to change things around, and bowlers have to be very adept, I guess, at and flexible in the way that they plan an over. they've got to have lots of variations now as well. So, yeah, the game has absolutely moved on.
7 wickets, Team Saudi got, then Trent Bolt got. What about the teams now? Who are your expected post-semi-finalists?
Oh, look, I've said right from the start that the two host countries would be in the semis. I'd still expect that to be the case. I think New Zealand just have maybe a couple of little tweaks they need to make or concerns. A couple of their middle order guys haven't quite had enough time in the middle. So I think they possibly might be a little bit exposed in that respect. As a bowling unit, they're playing very well, and they've got great fieldsmen. Australia are a very good package. We saw, last night against Sri Lanka. Gee whiz, they did look a good team. But in saying that, once again, they went for over 300 runs. I would absolutely fully expect India to be in the semis, and South Africa as well. But we're going to watch with interest actually how South Africa go in their quarter-final, because they have tripped up before, a little bit like New Zealand when it comes to quarter-finals and semi-finals.
Yeah.
Gavin, talking about 1992 World Cup, obviously New Zealand had a great run, but eventually they ended up losing the semi-finals to Pakistan. But what do you make out of this team, the current team? Because they are also having a good run. They look to be one of the front runners to lift the cup. So, any similarities between the team that played in 1992 and the team that is playing under Brendon McCullum?
Oh, they would beat the 92 team. I honestly believe that. We had a very good team. The difference, and quite a stark difference, is that we really battled in the lead up to the 92 World Cup. So we weren't being talked about a lot as potential winners of the cup. There were no real expectations around New Zealand, so we flew under the radar a little bit, and then once we'd beaten Australia and had 2 or 3 wins under our belt, that's when the public sort of fell in behind us. The big difference with this team, the 2015 team, is they've been playing really good cricket for the last 18 months, 2 years. So the public has actually started to have expectations. They won a lot of one-day games leading up to the World Cup, so it's a different type of pressure. But in saying that, I think they've planned and prepared really well, and they're a very measured bunch of guys as well. And at this stage, it doesn't seem to me that the pressure's getting to them in any way. Look, at the end of the day, it's all going to come down to that first quarter-final in Wellington. New Zealand will play there. It's going to be in front of 5,000 people. Big pressure against a good opponent, and that's when we'll really see hopefully the class of that New Zealand team.
Talking about the format, even FIFA World Cup ends with 32 teams in 30 days, but you have got to have 45 days over here. Can they make it more competitive by making it Super 6, what that was in 1999 World Cup, or something like that?
Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, I think there is scope to tweak the format in some way. I haven't come up with any sort of ideal format in my own mind, but it is a very long tournament, and I think we've been very lucky in the way the tournament's progressed to date, where we've actually had most games have been quite exciting in their own right, and we haven't had a patch of games where there've been massive mismatches or rain affected and where you lose the momentum. So we've managed to keep the tempo of the tournament pretty high the whole way through. It'll be interesting this next week, once we get a feel for who the quarterfinalists are, whether the public sort of dial off a little bit. There is scope, I think, to shorten it up, but I know also, working in the logistics area, that from a travel point of view, and you've got to give teams the ability to rest and to prepare and to have their trainings and that. You can't just ram the playing days down their throat, or something's going to break. So, somewhere in the middle there's an answer there. If we could abbreviate it and lose a week somewhere, I think it would help.
Talking about pitches in New Zealand, how far it is different from pitches in Australia? What according to you?
I think the pitches are similar. I've been really impressed with the pitches across the tournament so far. I can only really speak for our turf managers here in New Zealand, but I'm thrilled for them. They've done a really good job. The pitches have been exactly how we've wanted. We want to encourage stroke play. We want to encourage the bowlers who can bend their back and bowl quick and bounce the ball. We don't want too much turn, and we certainly don't want too much sideways movement. What's been great is the ball swung in the air, so it has kept the bowlers in the game in most matches. So in a general sense, look, I couldn't be happier, and I had, a big round of applause really for our venues and our turf managers in New Zealand.
Gavin, what do you make out of the Indian team? Obviously, a lot have been spoken about the bowling unit. That's been the weak link in the Tri-Series in Australia and the Test Series that preceded. But what do you make out of it? It's a huge turnout from the Tri-Series and leading up to the World Cup, because they have been the team to beat in this tournament so far.
Yeah, look, this is a very good Indian team. I knew in my heart that they've got World Cup pedigree, and I knew that they'd end up peaking towards the back end of this tournament, and it just seems that is the way. Their batsmen speak for themselves. They're classy. They will consistently put something close to 300 on the board when the conditions are in their favour. So it's been the bowling that's been my real point of interest, and I've been really impressed. They're running in a lot harder, and they're hitting the deck more, and they're a very challenging bowling unit. But I do think the thing that is taken it to another level is the fielding, and some of the fielding displays I've seen from the Indian team have been fantastic. They're full of energy and intensity, and at the end of the day, to win a World Cup, I think if you're not going to be the best fielding team in the tournament, you're going to be very close to being the best. So whatever team wins it, must have a great fielding unit.